We are recording. Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm Kathryn Perry, and welcome to the Activate Your Wealth Identity call. What we are doing today is really exciting. I've got a handout that's in the chat bar. If you haven't got to see it yet, I will just give me a little message and I'll make sure that you get that. And will you be sending it by email? Are you asking about the handout or the replay? Here's the handout. I'm going to make sure you get it again. Hey, Wilma, happy to see you. The replay will appear in the school classroom. Okay, so there we go. Now I think I can manage this. And I want to make sure I'm sharing screen. And I appreciate everybody's patience. This is what we're doing today. And you do have your handout, but it's Activate Your Wealth Identity, the I Am framework, where we're talking about how your identity, action, and creating measurable movement is how you are going to be able to create the life you love. Now, even if you're like a manifesting person, or if you're just, hey, just the facts, what are the steps? This teaching is what ties those two together. The one command is a method that helps people connect to their own greater power, their higher levels of thinking. And a lot of ways that that was taught was more in the fields of consciousness and how all matter is, it's like these discrete particles, but they aren't really formed yet until we give it attention, right? Until we observe it. And then based on our observation, and how we take action and how we think about it in our emotions, that is what starts bringing it into reality. And that sounds like a fantastic teaching, but a lot of people have trouble making that leap. And another big challenge is that a lot of times when you want to make a change, whether you're doing affirmations, the one command, you're journaling, whatever, you have to be in the state of mind, the state of being the one who has the power and authority to make the change, to make that reality become visible. And a lot of times when people are commanding, affirming, praying, they're begging, they're asking, they're in a state of fear and they're in powerlessness and they're hoping some power, some change outside of them brings the solution. But the truth is that however you're creating your life right now, however your money is showing up, however your relationships are showing up, how your world is organized, that is coming from within you, and whatever you're seeing outside of you is always going to match your inner identity, the way that you see and know yourself. And I would say the way you secretly know and see yourself, because you might be a big deal. You might be someone that can get a lot of results for people. You might be seen as someone who's really confident, competent, get her done. You probably make miracles happen for people all the time. But when it comes to something happening for yourself, what is the gap? What is the missing piece? Your identity, because you see your only value in relationship to other people, not other people in relationship to your own intrinsic value. And so these are the conversations that we're having right now in Activate Your Wealth Identity. When we started the calls, this is call 5, I think. Mostly I'm starting with triage. Let's look at how we're dealing with your energy. How can we start building these, steps, and what to do when you're in freeze mode? And then how can you create aligned action? Today is really the start of the deeper teaching of where we actually activate our wealth identity. Okay. So if you don't have your handout yet, be sure and let me know, and I will put it back in the chat bar. And let me get to the handout. And this is what we're doing today. Activate your wealth identity. Today is going to be more process oriented. Okay, a lot of times I give a lot of teaching, and then I might do a command with you, but this is where we're actually going to open that loop, and then we'll close it at the end. We're going to go through a beautiful process of really coming into that new identity. And then I have a program I want to share with you that's starting on March 2nd. It's not a big pitch, but I wanted to give some information about it and answer some questions because I know you've been seeing the emails about it. And then I do have the link in the handout on how to get the information, which is just a simple Google Doc. Okay, who's ready? Who is ready? Put in the chat bar, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. Who's ready for the call? I am. All right, yes. Now, I am going to ask for you to commit to your time. I know that you may be working, if you have to kind of keep an ear out, but if it's possible for you to close the windows, mute your phone, put your full attention here. That way you're going to get the most benefit out of this call, because it's not just me talking to you. We are entering a field of energy together. Okay. And I want to be able to fully support you, but I need you fully present with me so I can give full support. Okay. So before I go into teaching any more concepts, talking about anything else, let's just pause. First, just take a breath. Let yourself get settled into your body. And then I want to ask you, what do you want to change or improve or manifest right now? And I don't want you to think about what you should want, but what you actually want. I'm going to challenge you even further. Maybe you think, oh, I just want my debt paid. I want you to remove that for right now, because what's on the other side of your debt being paid? Oh, I want to make more money. What's on the other side? What do you want? And you may find that that's easy to make that leap, or you may find it's a struggle, but just mostly be aware of what your response is. So what do you actually want? Now, close your eyes for a second. And when you think about that desire, what happens in your body? Is there doubt? Is there a grab? Is there a little voice that says, not yet, or not me? Or is there confusion? Like, if suddenly, are you trying to negotiate? I don't know if I want this, does that mean I don't get that? Or, I want 1,000, but after, do I want 20,000? I don't know. What should I want right now? Is there confusion? But mostly I want you to notice, be in your awareness of how you're physically experiencing that desire. And just ask yourself something. Is this tension caused by something outside of me, or could it be connected to something inside of me? And don't judge whatever you're feeling. Please just be in the awareness. By the end of the session, you'll understand what that tension is connected to. And you'll identify the identity, you will identify the identity pattern underneath that. And with the one command, we're going to install a new statement. We're going to choose one aligned action, and then we'll check your body again before we close. Okay? But first, I'm going to tell you a story. And this has to do with a client who called me recently. And I said, why are you calling? And she said, I'm ready to clear these money blocks. And she's an incredible manifester. She's an accomplished person, and just a beautiful soul. But she had hosted a conference and she had filled the room. She gave a powerful talk. I mean, people cried, they thanked her, they loved it. But the thing is, she didn't make a single sale, not one. And she was confused. So we started talking. And every time we discussed her prices or the offer, or even what her feelings were, she would go straight back into childhood stories. Like she talked about her family, her mother, not being seen, not being encouraged. And it became clear she wasn't struggling with strategy. She was still asking permission from the past, permission to be seen, permission to succeed, permission to be paid. And as talented and brilliant as she was, she had no problem giving her gift away. She told me story after story about transforming people's lives, like complete strangers in airports and restaurants or at conferences, just having a conversation. And the only problem was she couldn't ask for money for that gift. And she sold a particular product and program that she truly believed in. But at the same time, she could only go so far if she only focused on that product. And she had so much talent and so much to offer, she was limiting herself on the ways that she could generate income. Intuitively, she would, again, run to the past, the ways that she used to make money, and try to fit in those options with her future dream. And that created a lot of confusion. Remember, a confused mind says no. So we didn't fix marketing. We worked on identity. And we had her see her mother through adult eyes, not the child needing approval, but as a woman seeing another woman. And we imagined her mother proud, encouraging, smiling. And at first, she would lapse back to explaining, telling a childhood story, and I had to pause her and I said, let's create a one command around the mother that you needed then and the mother that you want now. She said, well, my mother's no longer with us. I said, it doesn't matter. You have an internal mother that you're in relationship with. And everything has to go past her, but nothing else can come past her either. And so we did a one command around that. But then something shifted. Shortly after, she called me back, and someone from the conference referred her, and they wanted this new referral, wanted her to coach their team. The identity, she didn't chase it. The identity shifted, and the opportunity responded. This is important. The identity shifted, and opportunity responded. And that's how fast it can change. So really, she didn't need more confidence. She needed to stop asking permission. So let's go back to this. All right, I'm just checking the chat. So this is why identity drives results. Nothing about her talent changed. Nothing about her skills changed. Only her identity shifted. Her results were not created by effort alone, and they were shaped by who you believe you are. I want to talk about effort for a second, because there's a lot of talk in particularly the mindset or manifesting group, where it's things like, oh, I want to manifest instantly and no work, no effort. And I have had that experience. But here's the thing, that when you're doing the wrong thing, the steps that are required, like let's say you're in business, and of course there's certain business tools and collateral that you need. There's some certain ways you need to present yourself. But if you're doing it out of desperation or fear, it's hard, it's work, it's effort. Okay. But when you're doing it through aligned action, and we talked about this last week, if you're doing it through aligned action, there's the energy of your future self, the energy of that wish fulfilled, as Neville Goddard said it, that future, the energy is so strong and compelling that none of that energy that you're putting out, it pales in comparison. It feels like small, necessary steps. Okay. And so you wind up feeling kind of pulled towards it. Now, there will be times, and I just experienced this, I talked about it, I think, in the last couple of calls, that I'm writing this new program, and everything has to go through my stomach. Like either my stomach's happy or it's not. And sometimes when I'm stretching or creating, it feels painful. And it took me a long time to kind of figure out what that was about. One, my stomach gives me a clear yes, no. If it's not happy, it's telling me to look again. Or it's telling me, no, there's no pull towards that. But also, I realized that it's my neurology, it's my old identity is struggling a bit to let go. And I'm having, so instead of arguing with myself, I check back and I find out, what do I need? What is the message here? And then I'm able to do the work. And this is what I teach my clients to do. You know, you've got to have the skills, but you also got to have the lens of reality that comes from your identity, where you're saying, there, what I'm experiencing is not wrong. What I'm experiencing is growth. I'm not broken, I'm growing, right? And every time we use an I am statement, this speaks to your identity. I happen to love work. I've been, I grew up in a family grocery store. Y'all know my story. And, my parents put me to work like at age 8. First, I learned to count by fives because I learned to clean, count change in the till. So I actually love it. Like, I love working the family business. There's closeness. We have a lot of fun. There's growth. And so I don't consider myself a workaholic. I'm what's known as a workaholic, but that comes into identity. So the point I'm making, though, is if you're noticing that your efforting is taking a lot of effort, that's because there's some internal conflict with your with your identity. Okay. But the effort alone is not going to do it, and your identity alone is not going to do it. We have to put it together. They are shaped by who you believe you are. So what influences identity? Okay. Or your identity influences what feels possible. Let's see here. Let me get to the right page. What feels possible, what you attempt or avoid, what you tolerate, and how you interpret outcomes. Okay. So when identity shifts, let me get over here. All right, and I have notes here. Behavior changes. I'll write that down or circle that. When identity shifts, behavior changes. Breathe into that. So that tension you felt at the beginning, that's identity friction. Okay. And that's what I was talking about when my stomach would get kind of unhappy or tense. In fact, I worried. I said, oh no, is trying to work my business going to make me too anxious? But I realized that the only thing that when we feel anxious or worried or fearful, action is the best remedy. Okay. So I use something that I call the I am framework. Number 1 is identity. 2, aligned action. And 3, measurable movement. And I have a little graph here. Thank you, Notebook LM. And identity installs, action affirms, and movement proves. So what does that mean? When, like, let's say you do the one command. And when you say, you've decided I'm tired of being, struggling financially. And so instead of struggling financially, you want to be a person who is experiencing financial abundance or financial flow. Okay. So the command would be, and there's other ways to install it. One, a decision. It starts with a decision, but for using the one command, this is what helps you address that core belief, and it unwinds the neurology that supports it and releases the emotions and the energy that's holding that belief and program and identity in place. So if you said, I don't know how, I am now a financially free person who lives in abundance. I don't know how. I am a financially free person who lives in abundance. I only know I am now, and I am fulfilled. So we expand that to an idea even greater that serves more good. One of the things that happen when we're in alignment We have to have purpose, and we have to see, like, what purpose does it serve, right? But it also has to work with you and your own values. And so that's all contained within that statement. Okay. But what's happened is when we're expanding to an idea even greater that serves more good, because already everybody's like, man, I want that one. Give me that one. You've got that one. It's not separate from you. You are not identifying yourself that way. Okay. You already are what you desire. Please write this down. I am already all that I desire. Remember, I said it's coming from you. It's an expression of you. That's why we're going to say that, not I have, because you can get it and lose it. I am that. But this has created a decision point. Okay. And so for a minute, it's more like this. We have a new path, we have an old path. And for a minute, you've made the decision, you've installed the identity. Okay. But then, unless you are taking action to support it, that creates a gap, and you're going to fall back into your old actions, which support your old identity. And then next thing you know, you're doing everything the same. And that thing that you made the decision for and made a command for becomes a wish. But even worse than that, it becomes a perceived failure instead of a promise. And then, so there's shame, and you feel like you failed yourself, or that there's something wrong with you. And there is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. And you have been doing everything you know. You've been doing everything that you've been taught. And if it's not working for you, it's not because there's a failure in you. It's because when people share their techniques and their methods, or you're doing what your parents taught you, or what worked when you were in corporate America, is not necessarily going to work with your new identity. And so that's why being in the power of observation and noticing, having a new conversation with yourself, observing your experience, and being, saying, hey, I'm someone who has the ability to change. I just need some understanding. And maybe I need to get some buy-in from my inner self. Maybe I need to give some time to my neurology to catch up. But it's like any habit, it's a thought habit. And just because you did it, you slid back, it's something that you can return to. You don't have to start all over again. I've probably have done this. A lot of people do this. And let's say if they're on a diet and something happens that they slip, they gave into a food craving, they were hungry and tired, so they ate, they broke the sacred diet, right? They ate the carb, they had the sweet, they did the thing, and they went, oh man, I blew it. And then what do? They gave themselves permission to completely fail. And then they just dump the whole diet, rather than going, okay, that was a setback. Now I'm going to return back to my plan. I'm learning how to eat healthier for my body. I'm learning to take care of myself a new way. And there's going to be some stumbles. And this is true if you're learning to create a business, new relationships, working on your health, you want to make a lifestyle change, you will stumble back to your old habit. Part of it has to do with whether or not, you could be tired, you could be run down, you could be overwhelmed. And when we're overwhelmed, we default. So that's a good time too. And being the observer and looking at yourself from the eyes of a loving creator. Hey, what happened there? And how can I protect myself in the future? Okay. And that's how we start creating aligned action. Hey, I've made the decision to be, to produce X amount of, dollars in my income. I've made the decision that I want a major lifestyle change. I made a decision that I'm tired of struggling financially. I made a decision I am sick of debt. And then you have to look at your money. You have to look at your programming. You have to look at the emotions. And so when you take action, you have to take that action for the future version of yourself, not trying to heal and berate and fix that old version of you that does not exist anymore. Everything you think about and do has to be moving towards that version of yourself, the version of your life, the financial level of freedom that you want to experience. It has to align to that. And then finally, you have to have movement. Now, a lot of times we hear people like back in the day, Tony Robbins, Mr. NLP, big motivator. And he would say, take massive action, which sounds like do everything all the time, all at once. And if you haven't seen that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, please go see it. It's an incredible consciousness movie. But we think that that's how we have to show up. We have to just blow ourselves up and split ourselves up in these million pieces. When it comes down to this, if there's one action that you could take consistently or multiply, what that would get you to your goal faster, what would that be? So like I've lost 115 pounds. Yay. I still have another 60 to go. And everything's kind of changing. And now if I want to get there, I've got to increase my activity. And, my joints aren't too happy about walks and stuff. So I have to, if I think about how I'm feeling today, I'm not going to build muscle. I'm not going to eat right. I might even default to food being comfort, right? But the future version of myself is wearing size 10s again, which I haven't since my 30s, right? But I'm wearing size 10s. I've got energy. I feel great. And what can I do today for that future Kathryn? We just had this talk with my granddaughter talking about her lunches. Oh, yeah, I meant to fix my school lunch, but I didn't. And I'm too tired. I don't want to do it. And so we talked to her, said, when you're at school, do you like having your lunch? Yeah. Do you think tomorrow you'd want to have your lunch? Yeah, because I don't like the school food and I'll be hungry. So if you could take care of Carolyn tomorrow and make sure Carolyn tomorrow has her lunch, even though you don't feel good today, does Carolyn tomorrow matter enough to you to take care of her? And she went, oh, yeah. Well, my family somehow got a hold of that because all of a sudden they're going, I'm going to do this for my future. My daughter said, I'm doing it for my future Lauren. My son-in-law, I'm doing it for future Jonathan. And even Maddie, who always goes, oh, Nana, she said, you know what? I've just been coming home beat up, getting on the video games, but I don't want to be doing this next year. I want this. So I'm going to start doing this for my future Maddie. I'm like, oh my gosh, if you've ever tried to help your family and they go, whatever. But to hear somebody respond to that, that just made my week. So what are you going to do? What action can you take to support your future self that's going to make you happier, healthier, richer, more fulfilled? What one thing can do? It could be outreach. Like if you're in business going, okay, I'm going to make sure that I connect with potential clients. For me, I found looking for referral partners was the fastest route because they had a network that I could plug right into. And besides that, if I want, I learned this with the book launch. If I wanted to reach 100,000 people, I really just need to know 10 people to make that happen. So what's one thing I could do? Reach out to referral partners. That's how small it is. Okay. So identities is who you believe you are. Aligned action is the behavior that matches that identity. There's, hey, me, I'm here now. Here's who I want to be. We want to be focused on that future self. Okay. And measurable movement is visible evidence because we can't necessarily like if you say, hey, I want to have 10 clients by the end of the day, I don't know how many I'm going to have, but I know that if, there's a little math involved, that if I start taking action and I reach out and I notice, hey, about every 10 people I talk to want to sign up, Well, that tells me if I want 10 people, there's 100, right? Or I could go to my referral strategy. But then you can start doing the math, but then you can also start seeing where you're breaking down. Now, we're not going to be doing all that today. I just want you to understand the thinking behind it. Okay. So, who wants to do a little exercise? Okay. We're going to do what's called the identity mirror break. If you don't have the handout yet, just write it on a piece of paper. Okay. Let me get a slip of water. This is your chance. Let's get reset. So, remember that when we took the pause and we said, hey, what is it I desire? What do I want to change or improve or manifest? What do I desire? And then you noticed how you were feeling, right? Now I have it written down. I may say it a little differently, but either way will work if you want to do this for yourself. Okay. So now we need to create a contrast, okay, of where you are now, where you want to be. So now we got to think about where we are now, what we're exposing. So when you think about that desire, what's one repeating pattern that you're noticing? Do you avoid? Do you hesitate? Do you undercharge? Do you spin yourself in circles, overthinking? Do you chase after shiny objects? Do you get distracted? Do you shut down? What happens? Just notice. You're not in trouble because it happens. Please do not judge it. You are to observe it. And this is between you and yourself. So be honest. You're having a deeper conversation with yourself right now. So if this pattern had a job, remember I was telling you about my stomach? If this pattern had a job, what is it protecting you from? Or you might say, hey, if this pattern has a job, what is it protecting me from? Now complete this sentence. I've been acting like someone who believes. I didn't tell you what I realized. When I tuned into my stomach, I was acting like someone who believed I wasn't worthy. How have you been acting? I've been acting like someone who believes. Notice how you're holding that feeling. Remember, we're really using our powers of awareness. Now flip it. So, like if I said, I'm someone who believes I'm not worthy, I'm going to flip it to I'm going to believe I'm someone who is worthy. But you may fine tune it, but just flip it. I am someone who, and it is important that you write this if possible, because this is brain writing and this is you connecting into your emotions. And this is going to help you rewire faster. And now stand with that for a minute. Just sit with it. When you're thinking about that positive identity, I am someone who. How does that feel in your body now? However you're feeling it, let's breathe into it. Okay, wherever you're feeling it, it may feel uncomfortable at first. So let's anchor it with our breath. I like to look down into my body wherever I'm experiencing that. Okay, so kind of look down. You want to get tuned into that. Put your hand wherever you're feeling that. I always feel it on my belly, but I like to put my other hand on my heart. But if I feel any tension in my throat or my head, I'll put it there. But I love my heart because I want to create coherence. I'm holding one idea. I am someone who, the positive statement. I am someone who. Hold that idea. Breathe through. It may feel uncomfortable, but if you're present to it, and usually 90 seconds, couple of minutes is all it takes. Breathe. When you feel still and there's no more movement, open your eyes. And this is the start of identity installation. How simple. Let me pause the share for just a minute. I want to stay on track, but I want to check in with you guys. Who wants to share what happened when they first tuned into this thing that they want to change and they noticed the response and you realized what your belief was? And then what happened when you sat with that? Okay. Yeah, come back. Okay, Lenora.
Uh, I do a lot of these things, so I think I know myself pretty well. Um, so my intention today is to complete an old to-do list. I've got tasks on there that have been nagging me for months. I know they're energy leaks. Every time I can force myself to complete one, I have an energy boost. And it's like, what's going on? I know I'm tired. Bye. Um, I'm acting like someone who believes I'm not competent to succeed in a business.
Oh, okay.
I know I'm competent, I know I'm talented, but that was the job to keep me safe. If I'm not completing the task, I don't have the energy to move forward in the creation. And I'm starting from base up. I scrapped everything of my old business, so I'm starting over. So I flipped it to I am someone who is confidently a successful entrepreneur. And it's like my body's just opening up. I have this little tension in my stomach still. It's kind of looking, but the energy is shifting. I didn't know that was in there.
Yeah. This
I
is,
didn't know I was incompetent. Belief, the identity of an incompetent person who can't complete anything. It's like, wow.
oh,
Woo,
yeah.
thank you. Woo.
You. We'll check back at the end after you do the command and see. Thank you for sharing that. That's huge. Margie.
Yeah, it's interesting because I started, and when you said, how do you feel? I felt neutral, open, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. But then when you ask the questions like, what do I believe? And it came out that it ultimately won't work, is what it came out, that it ultimately won't work. And my action has been avoidance.
Okay.
And when you had me flip it, I'm someone who knows it will work. And I'm someone who believes in myself and my ideas and plans. And then what I felt then is like little excitement, like champagne bubbles.
Whew,
So
I
I
feel it.
So I went from like this calm openness to, okay, but that could be sort of like non-action. And then when I did do that, I got that. And I could see how something like the calmness or what I think is openness is the avoidance, and the ultimate comes down to fear that it ultimately won't work.
Yeah, exactly. So now, as someone, right, who can make it happen, what's possible for you?
to get past the avoidance and sit down and do it.
Okay. Hey,
And
can I? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and there's other ways, like I've been stuck trying to do this one thing, but I know I can put that on the back burner. There's other things that
Yeah.
I can do. I don't have to be trying to prove something mired with this thing. It's not going away. It'll be there tomorrow, the next day, or the next year. I can start other things that are easier. I started with this really gargantuan task. I
Yeah.
don't have to do it.
Perfect. So now you're in choice, right?
Yeah.
Can I keep you on? Because you kind of opened this up because next is aligned action. And so small actions create momentum. And so what's one action that you in this identity of I'm somebody who can make things happen? What is one action that you can take within the next 24 hours? And it's even better if you can do it today.
Yeah. And I think I will do it today. I can start a different, aligned but different project that's much quicker and easier. And
Yeah.
leave that there and start something quicker and easier.
Yeah. So you're creating a quick win, right? And
Yeah.
that will build momentum. That will kind of reaffirm like that identity. And
Yes.
then if you win, you go, yes, see, when I take action, when I show up this way, I can make things happen. So that'll affirm it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing. It was so nice hearing your voice again.
Yeah, thank you. And you look so gorgeous. I
Oh,
saw the pictures. I'm sorry, you have to tell us how you lost all that weight and how you did it. You look fabulous.
well, there is a teeny filter on this, but I'm 68 this year and I'm really excited. Just feel like I'm more myself, and it's good genetics. You know, from here down, all my wrinkles are below the neck. I'm just, but I am lucky I have genetics, and I can tell you guys, I lost my hair with the weight loss, and I'm having to regrow it, so I'm having to wear wigs right now. So you're going to be seeing my hair look a little differently, but I'm having a blast. I I feel like I'm back in my 40s right now. So maybe that's what's being um, generated there. But thank you guys. Wilma's saying I'm 68 until July. Hey, we are in our power era, right? Okay, so let's get back to this right quick because I want to honor our time. Okay, so who did y'all write what is one aligned action that you can take? Okay. Now, it does need to be small, specific, and scheduled. I'm a big believer that if it's not on the calendar, it's not real. It becomes a want to do or have to do. But I live with a spiral notebook. I should get a beautiful branded one and stickies. You can't see this, but I have it right here at the end of every day. I write down for tomorrow. That way I don't have any friction. And then as I'm doing the steps before I'm allowed to do anything else that would be fun or distracting, I have to get these things done. And I learned back in apartments that while I'm doing it, I circle it while I'm doing it. That way it keeps me on track. But that little thing, and what I tell people, and I may have it here, is commit to one main action. And maybe you want to write this down, one main action, and it's the big one, the one thing. So if it's calling clients, reaching out to referral program, if it's, hey, I do want to reach out to my referral partners, but I need to have a what's called a one sheet, or I got to get that website updated. If I do that, I'll feel more confident in reaching out. Whatever that is, that one small thing, get it on the calendar, make it something that you can do as fast as possible. We call it like the big rock. Two supporting actions that are going to take you towards that version of yourself that you want to be, that you've spoken to existence today. One main, two supporting. Finally, the third is once you have completed them, we got to get a little dope. We're rebuilding and reclaiming our dopamine, right? Because our attention and focus have been just blown out of the water with social media and television, radio, to where we're always having to be focused on something. So we're having to reclaim our focus, and we're having to give ourselves, it's called a dopamine diet, but we have to start associating that good feeling with our actions. Okay. And so when you do it, you're going to have the satisfaction of having done it because you said, yep, I committed to it. I did it. I keep my commitments, right? Then you're going to celebrate the win. You can go, oh, yes, done, right? Yes. Make sure you mark the moment. But the third thing is really important, and that is to celebrate it in a way that only makes sense to you. So if you're saying, if you go, you know what, I want to go to the movies and I'm not going to wait for anybody's permission. So hit a matinee, take yourself out to dinner, go for a walk, spend the afternoon at a pretty place that only really you enjoy. If you want to sit and crochet but you've been putting it off, say, okay, once I get done with that, I get to crochet. Whatever that is, make sure it's something you love. A multi-millionaire gave me that advice years ago, and it's the best thing I was ever learned. Okay. So we've got that. Then we want to have measurable movement. Okay. So we already named our identity, right? I am someone who, say that again. I am someone who, say it out loud. Yeah, you want to speak it. Your words have power. Remind yourself, because you have so much, you're having to retrain your inner chatter. But your voice and speaking it out loud will quiet it every time. So what is the measurable movement? So we said, what is one action? Well, as a result of that action, I'm going to have new, because of this identity and this action, the result is going to be, I'm going to have a new client. I'll have more money. Opportunities will appear. Decisions will be easier. My confidence will increase. Reduced avoidance. So how will you know? This isn't you win when you do this. No, we're going to get out of that win-lose thing. We're going to be observing our reality and ourselves. And so the way to ask it is like, hey, when I'm living that way, what is the evidence that I'm going to see that affirms that I'm acting in alignment, right? So what movement would tell you things are changing, and what small movement could happen this week? I love how there are 8 of us, and 8 is abundance. That's right, Wilma. All right, y'all are magical. Okay, so what is your small movement, and what could happen? Now, not will. I didn't ask what will. What could happen this week? What are we doing? We're creating a void. We're creating an open space. So for creation to move around, right? We're open ourselves to a greater possibility. And every time we're taking that action and we're affirming, we're voting for the new identity. You vote through your actions, not through your affirmations. And so many people keep trying to affirm. I'm freaked out. And then they keep doing everything they used to do. And they're doing it from a state of fear. And they don't know why they're not getting results. This moves you back into authority over your own life. Being an awareness and being in that power to make the shift. You are taking care of yourself in the best possible way. I think that creation and money and opportunities love being with people like that, don't you? All right. So give me a thumbs up. Has this been valuable so far? Yes? All right, we're going to do a command. Then we're going to check back in. And if you need to leave right on the hour, I certainly understand. We're probably going to go over about 10 minutes if we, so that I could make sure I could tell you about this. But has this been valuable? Thank you, Lenora. So now we have, I am someone who, right? Whatever that was. I am someone who. Okay. So our statement is going to be, I don't know how I now experience. So if you're someone who gets things done, I don't know how it could be, I don't know how I experience myself as one who gets things done, or I don't know how I'm one who makes, now experience myself. I should have wrote that word, myself as, and fill in the blank. I don't know how I now experience myself as what? Who got nervous as soon as you said that out loud? That's okay. That's okay. That's the ghost in the machine. Okay. It says, but wait, don't leave me behind. What about all the stuff we were supposed to do? Hey, you're going to have more power to take care of things. And it's kind of amazing how a lot of things just kind of fade away and become no longer important. Like when we're talking about, like what Margie was saying, and miracles happen when you step into that new identity. Okay. All right. Who's ready? Let's go ahead and do our 6 steps of the one command. Settle in. Close your eyes. Let's ground. Feel your connection to the earth. Remember, you're holding that idea of that new version of yourself and that life that you're going to create as a result. So now bring your attention to your heart as you're aligning to that future version of yourself. That version of yourself that's in the business that's designed especially for you, around your wants, needs, your superpowers, that has freed yourself up to create money, to create health, to have more experiences. What we're commanding now is for that future self. Great. So we're aligning to that. Now, with your eyes closed, I want you to just roll your eyes up as if you're trying to look up through up the top of your head. Don't strain, just very like kind of between your eyebrows and the top of your head. Just picture, visualize, or imagine a pole of light that you're connected to. This is your connection to source. It comes right down through your body, all the way down into the earth. This is your spiritual connection. Eyes up, send your consciousness up that pole of light. The higher you go, the faster you go, and soon you find yourself in the beautiful, velvety black void of space. And soon you break through the darkness into the light of pure, open potential. You can say this out loud or silently to yourself. I don't know how I now experience myself as, and fill in the blank. I only know it is so now, and I am fulfilled. And let that just expand. You can let your eyes relax. Let that expand to an idea even greater that serves more good. We already know one person at ordinary level of consciousness impacts 10,000 people. But what greater good in your own life and the life, the world around you could happen because you are living from this identity, from this greater version of yourself. And you may start feeling some energy kind of tingling on the outer edges. That's your soul responding. You may feel a little pressure in the front of your head, and that's your frontal lobe getting the download. That's okay. Now feel yourself coming back down into your body, coming in this new field of gratitude and appreciation. And so just as you're feeling yourself coming back into this form, this greater version of yourself, first, let's just be grateful for everything and everyone that brought you to that decision point, and for everything and everyone that's going to help you go to the next level. And then as you're doing it, what you're also going to be experiencing is an unwinding. And this is the unwinding of your neurology that was holding the old beliefs and programs. Remember to breathe And this is happening literally at a DNA level. You're imprinting your morphogenic field. Isn't that amazing? But just stay with it, stay in the observation. And then there's a moment you kind of feel yourself coming to the bottom, but you may or may not feel anything, but it's happening. And now there's a rewinding of your energy and your nervous system that's starting to align to this greater version of yourself. And what may be happening too is there's an activation of hidden or dormant skills, talents, abilities. You could be activating some intuitive gifts. We don't know what's happening, but we can know and trust it's happening. Now bring your attention back to your heart. You can open your eyes, move your feet, take a breath, kind of move around, stretch, get yourself re-anchored into here and now. I like to just kind of pat and rub my arms, rub my legs, like make sure I got all my fingers and toes, right? Great. So now we want to return to what you wrote at the very beginning, like that desire. What's happening in your body? Is it the same or is it different? Remember, every shift counts. And you've already experienced identity shifting in less than 2 minutes. What could be possible if you stay in your awareness and you start having a new conversation with yourself in the next 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months? We don't know what's possible, but we know that something greater is possible now because you made that decision. And that's what we did today. One activation. Ooh. So I would encourage you to listen to this again and play with this, because some different facets of your identity are going to start showing up. We're going to be talking about this every Friday. And we're going to be going through different exercises like this. And this week, I'm happy to report that our group increased. We had another 27 people join the group. Thrilled. And I do have a vision of 1,000 people in this group. And so just to let you know, if you invited people to this, there's a link you can use that school pays commissions. So there is a affiliate link. If you don't see it, message me and I'll make sure you get one. Okay. But I'm building a community of people who want to step into this greater identity and be a force for good in the world and create more abundance in their life, because as you're doing that, we're making the world a richer, more loving place. And I think that's worthy, don't you? All right. So I want to just talk to you for just a moment because you've seen the emails and I saw the post that I have a special 30-day cohort. And it has to do with going deeper in this I am protocol. This is a real identity shifting protocol, and I have a lot of support for it, but the actions are very simple. And I just want to talk to you about it. So the idea is that we're going to experience one main activation, okay? And we're going to reinforce this daily for the next 30 days. I've got some text that you'll be getting just to remind you that you're doing it, because you've heard me say it. I know it's boring now, but I have ADHD, and my mother would say, "Oh, you're like a goose in a new world. Every day there's a new thing I want to do, and I forget about the things that I've invested in." So this is going to be keeping you on track. There's small actions to take daily, like a little morning meditation, but then we're going to be tracking some things. And then there's a weekly call that's a deep dive 90-minute call. And if you've done the circles with me and you've got to have a little taste of doing that belief shift work, you know that when we do belief with one, it shifts everyone. Or if you've been in one of the VIP calls, You've seen how powerful that shift is when we do this collectively. And this is going to be an intimate group. I'm capping it off at 15 because I want us to be able to have a deeper relationship and for everybody to have a chance to connect. So this program is for you if you feel capable but stuck. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. You've done personal development work, but it just didn't last. Like you get a little movement and then you would slip back into the old way. And that's because a lot of times, and with YouTube, I'm not blaming it because I'm had the habit myself. I watch all this, I consume all of this material. I never take time to actually apply it and spend time with it and really witness myself going through the shift, never really having that deeper conversation. Today, we had a 2-minute conversation with ourselves. What would happen if you learned to have that deeper, more authentic conversation with yourself? What would be revealed? But also, not just in your pain version, but in that greater self. Like the term now is, hey, what if your higher self entered the chat? What conversation would be possible? What information would you be able to receive, but also be able to quickly apply? So you want that measurable movement. And pardon me, I've got my screen over here, not just insight. We want to make measurable movement. And so you're someone who's ready to have deeper, to act and with deeper alignment. And like, gosh, already on the call, to reveal what was actually stopping you and be able to commit to one small thing, how much is that going to change your world? 1% is life-changing, but people will have a bigger shift. So I just want you to know it's not therapy, it's not fantasy. We're not just entering dream mode and playing together, but we're going to laugh, and we're not going to be about hustling and a lot of effort. We want to build this into your habit and your day, and everything we do, we want you to be able to take action on so that you get movement faster. But I know you've got a life, and that's why we want to be together for just a month. So this is that identity of work applied to real life. So how is this going to happen? For you, the commitment is that you're going to be spending about 10-15 minutes on some daily guided work. I'll have some audios, but if you just spent time thinking about, just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, soft meditation, and then did a command, that could take no more than 10 minutes. Okay. We'll be having weekly live sessions. And then the first call, this actually kicks off Monday, but the first call is on Wednesday, and they're always going to be at noon, at Wednesdays at noon until the 25th. Every call's recorded. Everything's contained in the school classroom so that you have all the handouts, all the materials, all the recordings, and you'll be able to access it for a year. And the thing about this is, one, you're going to be tracking, because a lot of times good things happen. You go, oh yeah, that was good, but our mind immediately goes to solving a problem. So we want to be building success after success, right? Then you're going to be able to identify not just opportunities that are around you, but what opportunities that you want so the universe can respond to you. Okay, you're going to be having a whole new conversation with your reality. And conversation is the right word, because right now you are having an internal conversation and you're talking to yourself about your experience, and then you're speaking all this stuff out into the world, or you feel like you can't be honest about what you're thinking. And so you're sending mixed messages, and that creates that confusion and disruption that interrupts your field of energy. So you're going to be noticing behavioral shifts where you go, hey, you know what? This happened, and before I probably would have freaked out, but today I was calm, or today these magic words got put in my mouth, or I thought it was going to happen and turned out it was something better, right? You're just going to be noticing how you're meeting the world. I want to say something too. I mentioned that this is a year long, and a lot of times when you're in a month-long program, you go, oh, if I miss it, go to the thing, I could miss out, and then I'll be over. Well, this is work you return to, because since you're shifting your energy your mindset, your identity, right? Your whole field is reorganizing around you. Sometimes you need to have space between the steps. And so this work is designed so that you can return to it at any time. And then if you want to repeat it, it's right there. So please don't worry about missing out anything or getting behind. That's literally impossible in this program. Okay. Now, the financial frame, the way that we're thinking about this, we are going to be using money as a measurement because it's the quickest way to, one, identify your beliefs and programs, right? Money is the measure, but it's not the outcome that we're after. And what do I mean by that? We are going to be looking at how we think about money, how we create money. We're going to be looking at debt, and we're going to be looking at how our capacity to receive, but we got to break these down a little bit more. And we've got to shift our identity to be able to meet each level, because we don't realize how deep this programming goes. But it is like what we did today didn't feel heavy, but it was very impactful. And that's how the work is shifting. A lot of the times, like with Commanding Wealth, which is being rewritten, there's so much information to process through. We're not going to be doing this. I want this to be light and fast. Okay. So money's not the goal. Money is our mirror. Okay. So financial movement reveals identity faster than anything. And some people see money move quickly. Others feel internal authority and they stabilize. But both count and both attract. The investment, I wanted to make it as easy as possible. It's $397 for the month. And you can break it down into two payments of $225, and the first payment's like soon as you sign up, the second payment's 30 days from now. And if you need to adjust that, we can certainly talk about that. But don't let money be the reason that you say no. We can work around the payment, but the investment gets you invested. Okay. And so this is, like I said, is limited to 15 people. We've got to have the space. And I have to say, there's no guarantees because I don't know who is going to commit. And some need time to unwind a little longer than others. So your results are determined by your engagement and your own commitment to yourself, not to the program. You're not committing to a program, you're committing to yourself. And so if you're willing to commit to yourself, your growth, and that future version of yourself, this is your invitation. As I try not to sound like the chamois guy, but this really is an invitation to you to explore this part of you. And I want to be there to support you. I have to say personally, just writing this, I'm getting the download while I'm doing it. This has been transformational. I'm walking out of the door after writing and putting this stuff together, and I'm going, oh my God, how did I not know this before? Why didn't I talk about it like this before? My family's kind of laughing, but they're going, Nana, you got this. You've actually, this is something you've wanted for a long time. So just the support, but just, I'm feeling my own shift from this and the excitement. And I just could hardly wait to share this with you. And I hope that you will join the cohort. Like I said, it starts on March 2nd and it'll run into the end of the month, but the calls start on the 4th and go to the 25th. And then there's other materials. So if you can't, let me make sure I put the link. I didn't put the link. You've got the handout, the link's there, but one thing you can do is if you have your phone, you can use the camera and click on that and that'll take you right to the page. It's just a Google Doc. I wanted to make this as easy as possible. I didn't want there to be any friction. I haven't created a big funnel or fancy sales page. There's no upsell, but I just had this on my heart that this is the next step for not only me and my business, but for all my clients. And the best way for us to make that shift is in a group, because one's activation, it kind of activates everybody else. It somehow, like the right amount of people show up to the group, their gifts, and it just lifts the vibration and the ability to learn and absorb the information so much faster. So that's about that program. I hope that you enjoyed today. My sweet friend, I appreciate you taking time to be with me. And please be sure and put it on your calendar to be here every Friday at noon. We are going to be going through this work. This is really what's required. And this is happening, I feel personally, because in the collective, we have made a quantum shift and we have jumped timelines. And this is the work that's required for us to operate in the new way, in this new vibration. And so we are doing a deeper work. And I hope that you will join me starting Monday for the Commanding Wealth Identity Activation. All right, my love, until next time, this is Kathryn Perry of Witness Your Mastery. Bye-bye. I love you.